Hey everyone, Corey here coming in to do your energy update for the week of, we're heading into the weekend of February. Holy, what happened in February? It's coming up. So this is from May the 15th, and it'll probably go all the way to the end of the month, but there will be some more videos in between as well. But we have just come through the energy of the full moon. Now we have a lot of solar flare energy that is also influencing us. And we have a lot of talk and chatter around the Saturn in Aries. We're in that last little shift between Saturn and Pisces and moving into Saturn and Aries. And also that conjunction between, I think it's a conjunction between Saturn and Neptune. And there's a lot of chatter and there's a lot of talk. And so one thing that keeps coming up for me is, the talk around karma and, it's like, oh, if you had an Aries who's been like an enemy of yours, or that you've had something against, now this is your time, you'll see their karma, you'll see. And I'm like, that is such an ego-based conversation and message to put out there. That doesn't take us any closer to coming together. It separates everything further. Now, did you have the same conversation around Saturn and Pisces? No, there is just something about that fiery, passionate energy of Aries, and it brings us back into the first house, and it does bring back into the sense of the I, and so all of this shifting and all of this energy this week is bringing up some of the past. It is bringing it back into our awareness, and the reason why it's bringing it back into our awareness is so that we can resolve it, so we can heal it within ourselves, so we're not living in the contempt of waiting for someone to pay the price for something of the past. It could be right back to kindergarten, but it's affected you more than it's affected somebody else. And so I don't know, it's not really tying, and it's not really connecting to the energy that I'm picking up and that I'm getting. It doesn't resonate. It just does not resonate for me. And so when I communicate to spirit and to energy and not to the ego, is that what I do see is we do see the return of the energy, and we see the return of the energy all the way back to like 1996. That's a pivotal point. And I do feel like 1996 was that beginning of us beginning to lean into coming out of the 19s, out of the 90s and moving into the 20s. So we went from 1999 to the year 2000, and that was such a big shift. And 96 was like that whole momentum. We were building up for something, but it's where the foundations began to crumble in our lives. It is where we start to see a stronger sense of independence, a stronger sense of doing things a little bit differently. It was like a lot of the old world began to fall away. And so we did experience, and many experienced like a lot of change. For myself, it was where I began to become a new mom. Some of you weren't born. And so it's a pivotal turning point. And so the same energy that influenced 1996 is the same energy that is influencing us now. Now, this Saturn conjunction, I'm not an astrologer, but this conjunction energy that is being that is coming into our awareness is bringing us all the way back into like, I believe it's like those born in 1952. And so you have like it is a kind of a push-pull energy. There is a bit of, having to be serious, but also having to have fun. Like there's just an intensity to that energy. And so there is an intensity. And sometimes when things get intense, is that it kind of is what breaks things open. So it exposes something. So when we have this energy that's influencing us, and when we see the shadow aspect come into life, we kind of get to see the truth. We get to see that narrative of telling ourselves sometimes, oh well, I'm all love and light, or I'm all peace. But then you see the narrative of yes, yeah, we're coming into this time, and it's like then you get to see something else unfold. Then you're like, why do we find joy in why do we feel such a sense of joy? Why do some people feel such a sense of joy in wanting somebody else to suffer or pay the price. I mean, ultimately, on a world scale, you'd think we wouldn't want to see anyone suffer. And if no one suffered from childhood on, then we wouldn't have so much anger, we wouldn't have so much resentment, and we wouldn't have so much reflections of old pain. Now, I'm kind of chuckling because we just purchased the new home for the first time in our marriage together, and we have we have the original designs. Like we have 1980s, 80s, 90s, like a lot in our home, and it's reflecting it. And I said to my husband, I'm like, one time you wouldn't have called this a character home, you just call it out of date. But the 80s now are so far back that wouldn't this be like historic now? Wouldn't this be like antique? So it is more of an antique look. And so it has history. And you can feel the history. You know the history is here. And I can feel the love in the home. I can feel the love that was put into it. And it's so instead of coming in and picking the home apart, I've come in and really appreciated the love that the previous owners that had put into this home, and how much they cared about it, and how much it reveals itself, it shows itself. And I can feel and sense the love of community they had, and the love of people, and where their focus really was. And their focus was on family and people in their lives, and it wasn't so much on keeping up with the Joneses or keeping up with the images to keep up with the times, or the modern times. So for a long period of time in this energy, what has been happening has been this evolution of creating the perfect image, instead of and it's driven us farther away from the things that were most important. It's like we're more concerned about what things look like, so that when someone comes in, they see the image of something that, and or trying to keep up, and trying to minimize, or trying to, you know, make things look a specific way because it's in style, or it's the design, or it's what's in at the moment. And so chasing something, and not saying there's anything wrong with it, is what this energy reveals, and what this energy shows is our focus shifted and changed. And so from that 90s period, that gap, that bridge of the 90s, from the 80s, and the bridge of what the 90s brought into change into what the 2000s have brought, has been that our focus has changed, and what we focus on, and how we've tried to make things match and belong, and similarity, all was a part of the social construct of of being more alike, and not having such an originality to it, but a uh, I guess like a consistency. So the 80s would have had a lot of mismatch. One room could be this color, another room this color, like this wallpaper with that wallpaper. Designs in the homes probably had a lot of, like, it might be a like it could have, like, I guess, mismatch of colors, mismatch of patterns. It was just kind of like it was a whole different time, the 80s were. And those 80s were about, I guess, the way of rebellion was the rebellion of, I don't care, I'm going to have fun, but I want all of the new technology. So probably have a living room that had great big speakers and stereo systems, and the big microwaves and the remote controls on big strings that were dragging around the house. And it was exciting, and it was because there was all this stuff being innovated and coming in. And then we moved, and then the focus, of course, then we crossed that bridge through the 90s, which had its own joy. It had its own, there was something about it that was bringing in a whole sense of, another sense of who we were and our identity, and how we communicate, or how we connect to each other. And then we moved into the 2000s, and the 2000s have we have that till 2012, and then we moved from 2012, and then so now in 2025, we are really at this pivotal point of where we're back in the beginning of the wheel, right? With the Saturn. And so Saturn being kind of could be like the sad sack of the energy. It's that kind of, oh God, here we go again type of thing. But Saturn is our evolution. Saturn is something that really brings us into a period of change in our lives. So this can be a very exciting time. And this week, I don't know why, but this week seems to be a tipping point within the year and coming up. And all the rest of May. And as we move into June, we're going to feel a totally different energy in June. And so we've said this since the beginning of May, since the beginning of the year, really expect the unexpected. But when we move into June, July, this is when that wheel is going to have that turn, and we're going to be fully in position, fully in alignment for changes, for something big to come. And if there's a lot of talk about, recessions, and there's a lot of talk about, you know, political changes and those type of things that are out there. And it's because we're in a shift, and because things are changing how we do things or how we show up. And those have an effect. And so it's like, if I had to listen to, this world talking outside, I mean, just, oh, there's a recession, you shouldn't do this, and you shouldn't buy, and you shouldn't. But my soul and everything within was saying, this is in alignment to your journey, to your path. And so if you're able to kind of turn off all the rest of the noise and really get into a connection to not looking for a path, not looking for a direction, but realizing you are the path and you are the way. Like it's you, and it's the way that you turn your body. It's the way that you turn your thoughts from an from connecting into the past of what you think you may have missed out on, or what you think was, you were that you got didn't got did blah, blah, that you got neglected from. I was going to say, but that's not the language. The what you got kind of um shortchanged on in the past, and now it's like this, you've been on this fight to kind of get where you want to get this sense of vindication, validation, like the bees, right? Vindication, validation. I just want to be able to just prove, like, you watch and see, I'll prove to them, I'll be better than them, I'll make more money than them, I'll be greater than them. And so that little inner voice that's been deep down in those chambers is saying, come down and meet me. Come meet me. Come, let me show you all the harm and the damage that has done to you and not to other people. Like, that's costing you. And so the things that have been costing you more than you can afford to lose within yourself is speaking and just saying, okay, let's not allow this to cost us more than we can afford to lose. So do I have to be more aware and frivolous? Do I have to be more consciously aware of my language, my words, my choices? Yes, yes, you do. And as we move through this point, is like it's a bit of the 80s coming back. And so the rebellion of doing things just because, doing things that from the heart, having fun, enjoying life, kind of like the hair bands, that kind of cheesiness. So there's a real cheesiness that's coming back in. And the cheesiness is, I accept you for who you are, what you are. I don't need to go find this or that, and kind of like the shift in colors as well. And so the change. So the clothes that you would have loved to wear before, that kind of had the earthy colors. We're moving from earth. We're not going to be so connected to the earth colors. And so we're moving into fire colors, and we're moving into air. So we have fire and air. So we have this big fire and air in the elements that's influenced us, and we're moving away from fire and water. So we're not being kind of in our sad sack energy. Now it's like Saturn's like just, and Saturn and Aries is like, we got things to get over yourself. Basically, get over yourself. We have things to do, we have places to go, and there's so much that I want to experience. There's so much that I want to do. And why am I wasting my time repainting my walls 10 times a year so I can stay in style when I can be outside and I can be having fun? Why am I spending so many hours being invested into listening to listening to lies that are being sold as truth, when I can be outside creating my own truth and living in my own truth? So there's a doors wide open opportunity that's coming in, and it's beginning to open us up, and it's bringing us to the heart of the matter. If I can say anything about an Aries energy, is Aries is passionate, and Aries lives from the heart. And I can see sometimes people think, oh, like you're angry, or you're scaring me because you're talking so, like, your voice is kind of aggressive. And I'm like, no, I'm passionate. I'm passionate about seeing people healing. I'm passionate about people growing and advancing. I love to see other people succeed. I take pride in knowing that if I somehow was a person who got to work with someone, and that moment in time that I was in their lives, and they got to succeed, and even beyond anything I've accomplished, and grow and be whoever they are. It's a that's a that's a call. And so that's a response to a call that we've been called up to. So there's a passion with Aries. It is bringing us into doing and living from a place of what we're passionate about and being passionate about it. But you are going to see a shift in the dynamics from I do feel like from um the way we would have shown up even at work. And so now you're going to see the energy coming back into the workplace, bringing back as we move into this period of time like moving through the rest of 2025 even and into 2026. You're going to see some of the industrial kind of world return, but it's not going to return the way that the industrial world was before. It's a new approach. And so you're going to see that evolution taking place in the approach. And so if you bring this from macro into micro of everything that we have just talked about, is that this will be about how I approach life, how I approach relationships, how I approach my friendships. And it is the approach. So this weekend is about the approach. We're coming close to a landing, and we're landing into our own lives. And how do I want to approach opening up those doors? Do I want to walk into the world? Do I want to walk into people's lives or into new relationships and instantly lay down the law and tell them how to do things and how to live their lives when they've already been living their lives? Do I want to already do I want to believe that I can get in heaven and make heaven a better place, but yet heaven was a beautiful place before you ever arrived, right? And so it is less of the desire to make people fit into your comforts, or to think that it's that you got to walk in and make everything different in order for you to create your comforts. It's healing, so that you can exist in the new and in the uncomfortable without having to try to make everything align. That makes it all about you. It is about allowing space for new introductions, to discover new ways of doing things, to let go of the heavy onset of laws and restrictions and conformities and confinements that have been kind of taking place, and freedom is on the table, and freedom is being spoken about, and freedom is being talked about, and it's moving away from so in the spiral dynamics, it's kind of moving away from this is not political title, don't get this construed it, the socialism, not socialist, the socialism of society. And we're moving more back into the sense of the I and individuality, free thinking, um, playfulness, and and of course there's a battle to fight that's also there. And so that battle to fight that is not just on the world scale, but it's also on the collective scale, but it's also within ourselves, that we fight that, because we're so used to being kind of contained within our own little container of the persona and the identity that we've created, or the persona and the identity, or the assumption of what we've created around who and what we think people are. And so the people in our lives are also going to be going through some of this changes. So it is the energy when you do see marriages come apart, when you see relationships fall apart, when you see people come together, you see changes, you see a call into wanting to break free of an old identity, an old thought, kind of taking down those certificates on the wall that were always about proving who you were to people. It's like, this, I'm identified by this shows that I've accomplished, and this shows all these credentials. And it's just like, the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in how we show up. The proof is how we reveal ourselves. Life is our experience, and the life lived is our experiences, and is our knowledge, is our wisdom. And so we are moving into a time that is all about experiencing life and living life. And what that looks like to experience and live life also means that we also have to create an environment where financially money is available. And so there is going to be As much as they talk about a recession, there's going to be an influx of the abundance and how abundance is made, and seeing that flow coming back in. And so it is a, if they talk about a recession, the last thing you should the last thing you should do is stop spending. Is you should keep living. You should push the living even more, and not saying live outside your budget, but don't allow fear, because it is an objective. There's always an objective to change the narrative. And it's so, if we're not being led by fear, what are we being led by? By the power of hope and faith. And if faith moves us, then faith will always take us in the direction towards, it may not happen when we want, but something is happening. Now, we're also going to see a new, I do feel like we're going to see a new technology in telephones, in phones, and how phones work, and the connection to AI and phones and those type of things. And a few months ago, I spoke about like a new technology that I thought was like in the hospital or somewhere like that for like scans, or, but you're also going to see that in like how we can see the world, view the world, and we're becoming a bigger part. And so a big conversation around the language of telepathy, um, telepathy, oh, intuition, like that kind of awakening within the mind. But a part of that's happening because we're traveling, and we're not just traveling on airplanes, we're traveling outside of our bodies. And so there's a lot of traveling that's happening, and we're seeing the traveling that's we're going to notice the traveling through how we are so interconnected through our leaving our own bodies and traveling out. And so there is like this expansion of the way that we connect, the way that we resonate with each other, and how technology is also playing a role in that. And so, is it a good? Is it a bad? Don't really have a good or a bad. That's not, it's just saying it's there. It's, everything can be used for the good and everything can be used for the bad. It depends on the people who have the power in their hands, and it depends on us. Depends on how we're going to show up, how we're going to choose to live, and how we're going to live our lives. So this is where we are. And so you may be really feeling the influence of this. It may feel like everything is kind of like tipsy turvy. It may feel like you're having these thoughts that, oh, well, I need to do this and I need to do that and I need to move beyond this person and these people. And what's really happening is the movement of moving beyond yourself. And so if you were to look at how our ego works and how that ego itself, it is to always create the world that we want, the world that we need. And so sometimes we create our own suffering, we create our own misery, and we create the own narrative, and we tell ourselves, oh, I'm so hard done by, I'm so left out, and I'm so abandoned, and we can find all the evidence to support that. But it is creating what we want. And so it's always creating the world, the opportunity for us to jump into action and to validate our whys, to validate why we're doing this. And so you'll always get the hard yes for your whys, as long as you're always looking at the fact that it is somebody else that there's something that's causing you the havoc, or something that's standing in your way. And it's easy to see through the reflection of another, but it's not always so easy to see the reflection of self. And so this is where, you may be thinking, I just want to slack off. I don't want to go to work. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do that anymore. And it feels like, it's like energetically, it's like, oh, this is so exhausting. I don't want to. And it's because there is the shift in how we approach life. And our soul is calling out for more fun. Our soul is calling out for us not to live taking life so seriously. It's calling, not saying we avoid and neglect the things we need to deal with, because we are adults. We're not 5, we're not 6, we're not 10. We are adults, and this is an adult video. This is for 18 and over, but mainly demographically, most people are 20 something and over. But it's just saying to us, like, we're screaming out to move beyond the depressed, suppressed socialism of energy that becomes the collective consciousness of of fight, of war, of arguing, of division, of dividing, and we just want to come together. So the harmony and the balance and the music that's being sung through the vibrational frequency is one that gives us the opportunity to move our body, to become more physically active within our in our lives, to move and shift our mindset, our energy, but to also dance with the harmony of life, to enjoy and embrace the good moments, knowing that full well we're all going to have to experience the fates of despair, loss, all of those things. They all exist, but our focus is not on, as we're moving through this week, our focus is not so much on the old thought of being led by the fear of the some days that I may, when I may not be here, or we're all not going to be here someday. And so we all have the same destiny. We all have the same destiny, but how we get there, that's up to us. That's a choice that we have to make within ourselves. And so this is where we can really begin. If you're spiritual and you're into spirituality, um, my Diamond Effects course is probably one of the most profound healing courses like that was created through me, not boosting myself up here in any way that mine is better than anyone else's, but it was profound for me because it really showed me the essence of the truth of the effects of the diamond, and that we all have this Christ-like body. We all have this diamond light, this diamond body. But to be able to know it is one thing. To be able to feel it, to exist in it, to become it is another. And this is where we're awakening and opening up our diamond. It is where we are finding our divinity. And so it is that sense of style, living from our divine expression, kind of radical self acceptance, radical self honesty, realizing our own bullshit, seeing beyond this, but also finding this sense of class and returning to like this classiness in some way. That's the only word I can use. It's like this classy kind of energy. So it's like it's recognizing that sense of being dignified, or sense of dignity within ourselves, and pulling our shoulders up, and recognizing that all our well-being, our health, our everything is a part of our spiritual, physical, mental hygiene, and that we're in the time of where our hygiene matters. What we listen to, what we see, what we watch, what we get ourselves lost into, how we care for ourselves, what we eat, everything is going to be about that sense of hygiene. If we're so busy living in joy, we don't have time to emotionally eat, because, unhealthy emotionally eat, because we're not spending our time dwelling, right? We're not spending our time trying to create a solution that just causes more of a problem. So everything in this energy is moving us from making ourselves and our addictive patterns and isms a solution to our problems that just keeps creating another solution. It's about removing ourselves from that position and moving ourselves in a leveled up position of where we move into real solutions that solves the real original source, the original problem, the original issue, so that we can no longer have to keep repeating these cycles, and that these changes can begin to unfold within our lives, and that we can see results, because we're now moving into the real solution, the way that we really need to see. And so the way is not some path way over there. It is a sense of your authority, and a sense of inner authority, inner knowing, and spiritual authority, and spiritual connection, and our kind of come back into this spiritual connection and find our way to there. And so it is a bit of a spiritual evolution, a spiritual movement. And there's a bit of a revolution between the division between the good and bad of spirituality, Christianity, those type of things. And of course, we're going to see some of that unfold within this next couple years, in this next year, especially as we, kind of bear witness to the sense of of dividing us somehow, because this passion, this desire also can lead to obsession, So being very careful not to become obsessed about something to where it is a toxic trait and not a healthy trait. To being very cautious of the things that you love is not something that becomes an obsession, because once it becomes an obsession, you no longer love it. You crave it to a point of where you of where you it becomes all that you put your focus into. And because focus is changing, and focus is changing to the point of where it's calling us up to heal and resolve, to not to try to make ourselves the be all and the solution to everything, but to move out of the way to allow the divine expression to help us to resolve and help us heal, and so that the solution is a more permanent solution, so that we don't return. But the obsessions are going to be there, and we're in a week of where the obsessions are speaking louder than ever. So be very aware of something you like to becoming an obsessive thing. And of course, we're in the year of the snake, so it is a year of shedding. It's a year that can be expansion and contractions and squeezing us and pushing us out. But shedding those old skins is a massive part of this energy. And so really knowing a lot about your natal charts, knowing a lot about your Chinese astrology, your Western astrology, knowing about your human design, your gene keys, all of those things does happen. These energy updates, they make a difference. And there is an energy within the energy updates, because it is light that is speaking, that is communicating through me as the vessel to be able to reach the light within you, so that it can draw up those parts of you that are waiting to shine. So I hope in some way that this week's energy update, even though it may feel it's a little bit long, that it resonates with you. Even if you don't understand all the words, or you didn't get all the words, or they just don't resonate with you in the moment, just know that light has just entered and touched your heart today. I send you so much love. And if you want to know any more about my work, go to my website in the link below. And also with our academy, if you go to the link below for the mteacademy.ca, myself and Lisa have some amazing courses and opportunities in there for you. But you can also check out your yearly astrological energy update for 2025, and also about all of the gates in your sign as well, and about the archetypal energy and the angels and how it all connects. It is one big package that's under your sign. So whatever your sign may be, you can go in and purchase that in the MTE Academy. And they're there and available for you for, I think it's like $49.95. Go check it out. I send you so much love, and please subscribe if you like these videos, and I will see you all very soon. Much love.